And you've got your own stuff going on in Washington right now while we are dealing with all this stuff here back in the state. Immigration has been the biggest topic in Congress right now. Okay, tell me where we are right now in the House with immigration.
Well, it's a good question. I hope that we eventually are moving forward. We have a bipartisan Senate bill that's far from perfect. It's about family values, about seeing that fewer families are torn apart by these deportations, and it's about economic opportunity. All the studies that didn't begin with a result before they got the facts have concluded that this would be a tremendous economic benefit to have this younger workforce out of the shadows and participating, particularly here in Texas. But in the House, we are once again met with the claim that no bill can even be debated on the floor the way this recent bill was debated in the Texas Senate. We can't even consider a bill in the House unless it has the support of a majority of the Republicans. And that rule has led to gridlock in the past in Washington. Republicans are talking about separating out different elements of the bill, passing the parts that they like, and leaving the other ones behind. That's not a way to reach a solution. I still think that there is the potential, again, with sustained citizen involvement, with more involvement of our business community, to see this legislation passed before the end of the year.
One of the most talked about portions of that legislation has been the possibility of a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. Is that something that is one of the biggest points of contention?
It is, and I think it's absolutely vital. You know, a number of countries abroad have taken a different course and have set up a permanent residency without a path to citizenship. It's a second-class status in which those individuals don't really have a stake in the future of our country and become separate and alienated. I believe that that path, which is a long one under the Senate bill, 13 years after sorting out those people who really shouldn't be here because they're not playing by the rules, but 13 years paying taxes, the other requirements that are there, a long, challenging path to citizenship, but continue to hold out a realistic hope to these individuals that if they do right, America will do right by them.
And obviously this is going to have a big effect here in Texas because of our proximity with the border.
Absolutely, and because we have throughout this area a number of people who are here without proper documents, and many of them do the hardest, most difficult jobs that we have here in Central Texas, but they don't know when they go to work in the morning whether they will be able to go back with their families at night. We need to take them out of the shadows. And then a particularly compelling case for the young people that I've met here at Texas State, at ACC, UT, and other schools who are dreamers. They are young people who were brought here as children, had nothing to do with the decision to come to Texas, and they're out there getting their education. They have so much to offer. We need to wipe the tears from the eyes of some of the young people I've seen and respond to their demands for action and let them become American citizens. They can contribute to great growth here in our economy.
We have just a little bit of time left, but you know, in our state legislature, we didn't see a lot of immigration legislation this past session, especially maybe compared to last session. Do you feel like whatever Congress does, that this could create, a push for more statewide legislation?
Well, I think if Congress responds with a comprehensive, reasonable piece of legislation, it would reduce the need for any state legislation. I think this is primarily a federal function. One of the Republican piecemeal approaches is to place on our local law enforcement more responsibility for immigration. That's really inconsistent with the duties we call on our local law enforcement, and I was pleased to see Chief Acevedo speak out against doing that. They have a job to protect us from criminals. Indeed, the whole focus of our immigration system is now distorted. It ought to be on those people who are involved in drug smuggling, who are involved in illegal activity. We ought to be prioritizing that instead of being involved in splitting families apart and denying young people the dream.
Heading back to Washington later.